How you internalize, believe in, and communicate your value is the foundation of your business. If you're not getting emails answered as often as you'd like, or phone messages returned as often as you'd like, then perhaps you're not creating that compelling message to drive people to movement, to actually respond back to you. All right, so how do we make sure we're clear on what our value is? Right? Hopefully you're pretty clear, but let me give you a couple of thoughts. Right? So one thing you want to do, I recommend you do this at least once a year, just sit down and fully evaluate your process from the minute you talk to a prospect on the phone or with an email, and then meet with them, and then move them through your process, and they become a client, and you stay in touch with them over time. What are all the points of value? What are all the good questions you ask? What are all the good things you teach? Right? How are you bringing value in all those different ways so that you're clear on all the points of value? Here's a quick question. When you meet with a prospect for the very first time, have you ever had a prospect thank you for contacting them and setting up an appointment? Raise your hand, please. Yeah? So we know that sometimes just reaching out to the prospect, setting an appointment brings value, does it not? Because we're finally going to get them to move out of their inertia. Our biggest objection that we get in the world is inertia, right? People just opening up to a possibility of thinking and looking at something different, right? And just setting up an appointment provides value. So we get in touch with all the places we provide value along the way. And then we got to talk to our clients. We should never develop a value proposition in a vacuum. We should always talk to our clients. You all have clients who love you, who care about you, who have some good ideas about how you come across, how you present your value. Always go out and talk to them. Now, each element of your authentic value proposition needs to contain these elements, I guess, if you will. You have to be concise, right? You have to be clear. A lot of people use jargon. They don't even realize it's industry jargon. We want to make sure that it's conversational. We're not creating something for our English teacher to grade. It's something that's very conversational and natural and authentic. We've got to make sure we bring what we talk about to a value, to a client-focused benefit orientation, and it conveys motion. You probably know this, but about 90% about what goes into a buying decision, a decision to work with you or give you referrals, is emotional, right? We know that. The good news about the work you do, because you're talking about people's money and financial well-being and financial dignity, that there's automatically emotion involved with money, right? So it makes it a little bit easier for you. And then citing examples without revealing proprietary information, citing case studies, examples to bring what you do to light for individuals. So what do? Let me give you a simple formula, right? You're at a networking event, you're somewhere, and people say, what do you do? What do you say, right? Do you hem and haw, or do you have a good, clear, succinct way to do it? And clear and not tricky. You know, this elevator speech stuff that a lot of people talk about, it's important to have a good, clear, concise way to talk about what we do, but some of that stuff I find is a little tricky, right? I ran into a guy who says, I tell my clients I'm a financial nutritionist. Huh? Right? It's got to be something that's already in the brain. If it's not already, that's first principle of marketing, right? You don't confuse the prospect. You give them something that they can already relate to that's already in the brain. So here's a little formula. Let me give it to you, and I'll give you an example, help you get started with this, right? I work with who want to. This answers so much in one statement. It talks about who you work with. It talks about kind of the type of work you do to a degree, and it creates the benefit. And then we have an example that brings it to life. What you do, how you do it, in 3 sentences. People get it, who you do it for, they get a sense of the benefit, they get a sense of the emotion is in there, and they get a sense of how you do it, so it satisfies both the emotion and the intellectual part of the brain. Why you do what you do. Now, I'm not talking about why you got started in this business, because you could make money and you liked working with finances and you had flexibility over schedule. I'm talking about a client-centered why you do what you do. And I want to bring some of those whys out here in the room, because there's probably some pretty good ones, all right? So what are your sources of your why? Well, it could be how or why you got started in this business. It could be why you're still in this business after many years, why you're more excited about this business now than ever before. It could be something that happened to you personally, or something you saw that happened to your clients? I was doing a webinar for NAFA California last fall, and I was talking about the personal why and talking about why we do what we do. And I got an email from a woman, Carol Upshur, who had been in business for 12 years, and she confessed in the email that she wasn't particularly good at getting referrals, but she got 8 unsolicited referrals in the last 2 days from prospects. 8 unsolicited referrals from prospects in the prior 2 days. So we got on the phone to talk a little bit about what she was doing, and here's what she told me. Before she got in this business, she and her husband got some bad financial advice. They lost a lot of money. They were in dire straits for a while. They slowly got their confidence built up, and then she got into this business. And when she's with a prospect, very first appointment, she tells them a little bit of the story. She lets them know what happens. And then she says, the reason I'm in this business, what drives me every day, is to make sure that that or anything like that never happens to anybody else. And now she's getting unsolicited referrals from prospects, right? Why? Because she becomes real, right? She's not just talking about what she does. She's hitting the level of the heart, right? And that's what connects people to her. And that's why she gets referrals without asking. How many of you now are sharing a little bit of your why with prospects or clients? Raise your hand, please. Let me see. So a question. So this side of the room is, this side of the room isn't. I wonder how that worked out, right? So let me ask you, do people listen to this differently? They do, don't they? Do they kind of lean forward a little bit when you share a little bit about who you are? Yeah, because there's usually a story around this, right? Something that happened to you or something that happened to a client or a family member. I have a friend of mine, Steve Perlman, he's in this business. He talks about how he learned the power of life insurance by when his father died and left him his watch. And that's all he left him, was his watch. And he was a teenager, and all he had was a watch. Now, he still wears that watch to this day as a constant reminder of the importance of the work he does. Do you think he tells that story to his prospects and clients? You better believe he does. Why you do what you do. Simple formula. Let me tell you a little bit about why I believe in the work that I do. Or let me tell you why I'm still in this business after many years. Or let me tell you a little bit about why I believe more in the work I do now than I ever have in the past. Every business solves a gap for people, right? Every business does that. There's a gap between where they are and where they want to be, right? You want to find out what their here looks like. You want to find out what their there looks like, do you not? And then you want to find out what the gap is, right? What are the challenges and the opportunities? They know about challenges that you don't know about. You know about challenges they may face that they don't know about. They know about opportunities that you don't know about, and you know about some opportunities they may be able to take advantage of that they don't know about. Where are they now? Where do they want to be? And what's the gap? And whenever you can close that gap, I think in the work you do, for most people, the gap is clarity and confidence. People just aren't clear on what their here is and what their there is, and they usually don't feel confident, do they? And you bring that clarity, which then creates confidence, and they go, nice, right? Clear, confidence, peace of mind. It's all emotional. Here's what I love about the gap. It's a visual word, right? Because it's visual, it creates a visceral response in the body. And if you're in front of someone, you can actually go, I close the gap. It actually creates that visual, right? You help bring financial dignity to people's lives. Boy, that's a pretty high calling if you ask me, right? Do you believe in the value? I think you do. The question is, are you transferring that belief to your prospects and to your clients? So this why is so powerful. Not only do you need to know it and understand it for yourself, we need to find a way to articulate it to others so it connects with them, so they get it. I'm talking about your why for how you help specific individuals. And I think Iris is a perfect example of that concept of financial dignity and how she helps people preserve financial dignity, right? So if you are not talking about this now, please start to bring this into your conversations. Like I said, most people won't ask, so you have to insert it in the conversation. I recommend you do it with prospects because that's going to help you connect. It's going to help you connect on the level of who you are as an individual, right? All things being equal, people do business with people they like. All things not being equal, people still do business with people they like and trust. why do I tell you the story? Because Les inserted that possibility of something different for her, didn't he? Right? She was the one who acted with courage. She's the one who took that step. She's the one who says, "Pop, Pop, come get me." But it was the belief that something else was possible that allowed that to happen, right? And I think we can say that Les was her hero because he helped instill in her a belief that something else is possible. Isn't that what you do? Isn't that what you do with your clients? You instill in them a belief that something more is possible than what they prepared for at this point, to bring financial dignity to themselves, or if not to themselves, their family, right, and who they leave behind. The work you do is so important. Thank you so much for the time to be back with you. I'm done. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.